is SWBC Mortgage's Cowboys Crosstalk.
Check this out.
Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. Brought to you by A#1 Air, the official HVAC and electric partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com. Trusted by millions, trusted by America's team. The National Medal of Honor Museum. Join the mission at mohmuseum.org. And by SWBC Mortgage. Customized solutions to help you meet your personal and business goals. Visit SWBC.com. Now, your hosts, Nate Newton and Kevin Gray.
Welcome to Week 5 of the National Football League. It is Cowboys Crosstalk on this Wednesday, live from the Cowboys Club right here at the Star in Frisco. My name is Kevin Gray, 105 through the fan. I got my 105 through the fan cohort, Will Chambers, with me this week, and as always, Nate Newton, good enough to join us here on Cowboys Crosstalk.
What's up?
Nate, what's going on? And to his right, he is a proud Oklahoma student. I don't know how proud he is of his boys these days, the way they've been playing, but he is a
1 week.
Wow, shots fired.
Just
right.
Look, I just had to
1 week
get it
will
out.
do that to you, Tony.
I'm just saying. He's a two-time Super Bowl champion. Spent 5 years, of course, with the Dallas Cowboys. Friend of Cowboys Crosstalk, Tony Casillas, good enough to join us here on this Wednesday night. Tony, what's going on?
I'm doing great. Always great to see Nate and remind myself why I walk this way. Subtle win. But
Wow.
it's always great to hang out with the big fella and hang out with you guys.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
It's good to
great to be seen.
Yeah, good to see you as always. Was with you last year when we had the Cowboys Crosstalk, and now new little setup here for you this season.
You got the sunset. This is fabulous.
Nice and
You guys are
clean
big time.
sunset.
Very relaxed.
Yes, very nice, very nice. And of course, Cowboys Crosstalk presented by SWBC at SWBC. Customized solutions for individuals and businesses are just a click away. Visit SWBC.com to learn more and start your next adventure. Gentlemen, did not think we would be at this point of the season given the way things started with Rain Dakota Prescott going down with a thumb injury. But here we are, the Cowboys 3-1 as they get ready to head to Jerry's hometown where he was born in Los Angeles to play at the house that he and Stan Kroenke built, SoFi Stadium, on Sunday afternoon, 3:25 right here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network, 105 through the fan. Nate, I'll start with you. If I had told you Dak Prescott was going to have a broken thumb at the end of Week 1, but Cooper Rush, in Rush we trust as a backup, they would be 3-1 heading to Los Angeles on Sunday. What would you say to that?
You know, Kevin, right now, let's get that. Let's clear the air. There's Mr. Jones, there's Micah Irvin, and there's me. I've never picked the Cowboys to lose. Never, ever. So you asking the wrong cat. I see us sitting where we sit, baby. And I'm here to go with that. So, Tony, Will, you better speak to them on that right there.
Because you knew.
Yeah, I live in a different
I can
world.
be a little bit more objective because
Okay.
I don't get any paychecks from Jerry anymore. I would like some of the scraps, but no. Who would have thought that Cooper Rush would be playing like he is now? The defense is balling better than he did last year.
Yes.
Who would have thought that they were lead the NFL in sacks? And that all the emergence of all these playmakers. But it's an amazing story, considering what happened in the first game.
Mm-hmm.
The Cowboys sky was falling.
Season felt like it was over.
It's like, yeah, and you go on social media and I'm like, really? So it's a great problem. I mean, not problem, but it's a great situation to be in because this is exactly what he needed to do.
Man, it's just like when Troy went down and Rodney Peete came in and Troy went down and Steve Berline. Man, we going.
I forgot about Rodney Peete.
Yeah.
I did too when he said it. I was like, is he thinking about Steve?
Yeah,
what's his wife's name? Is it?
She's a beautiful woman.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know.
I mean, she was an actress.
Yes.
No, I wasn't.
Holly Robinson.
Yeah.
Holly
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Thank you.
One of my favorite shows, Hanging with Mr. Cooper. Great show. Great show. So tell me about that. Obviously, we'll get to you in just a second. Tell me about that when it comes to when a backup comes in and starts to play well. What does that do for a confidence for a team, knowing that there really hasn't been a drop-off in terms of wins and losses, despite the fact that there is a backup in there playing right now?
Our team, we keep it real. We patted Jason on the back. We patted Pete on the back.
Yeah.
Berline, way to go. You got your job with the Panthers now. If you lead the Cowboys, but Troy was our man. And that's how it rolled. And this is how it should roll. Let's roll with this kid. Let's celebrate him. He is the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. But when 100% healthy, we roll back with Dak, and we roll back with an offensive coordinator that understands the game a little bit better.
Will, as someone who covers this team, what have you seen from the Cowboys? What has surprised you most about the fact that this team is 3-1 heading to Los Angeles for Week 5?
Just the record at 3-1, with a backup to be still in a position where you haven't lost ground. You're still in a great position to be in the race for the division. I think it would be the biggest surprise to me. You know, I thought at the beginning of this season that when you look at defenses year to year, they don't translate when in one year you had a lot of it predicated by turnovers. That usually doesn't happen year to year. But I still, despite that, felt a lot of optimism because I think that they've got maybe the best player in professional football and happens to play on their defense. And with the defense, with him, I thought, okay, they're probably going to be in every game. It's going to be very difficult for them to get blown out because he's going to be able to slow things down and get after the, and
we're talking about Micah Parsons,
passer.
Of course, yes.
And then with that, you could still get a lot of turnovers. I don't think you're going to get Trayvon Diggs with double-digit interceptions or, all those touchdowns being scored like they did last year, but I did think that they were going to be competitive in every game just because of the defense. And with that being said, if you are in a position, then if you've got a quarterback that's played, as consistent and as well, you don't have to do a whole lot. It's a 26th ranked offense right now. It hasn't done a whole lot, but it hasn't needed to.
Tony, this is a defense that has not allowed more than 20 points so far through 4 games this year. 20 points per game they have not allowed so far this year. What does this defense remind you of? Who does this defense remind you of when you go back and look at your playing days and how well this team has started to play through its first 4 games?
Well, I think that when you look at their defense, the depth kind of jumps out a little bit. I think you're seeing the veracity they're playing. I mean, you got one of the premier defensive players on the front end and one in the back end with Trayvon Diggs. And that's scary. And I think for them, they're very problematic for the other team in multiple areas. But I see other guys around them are evolving, and I think that you kind of feed off that energy. There's a lot of things happen during the game that plays will open up for you, but do you make them? But these guys are seeing the moment, and they're making plays because of something else that's developing. And I don't know about you. You said that you thought this team would kind of do what they play good defense this year and get their offense. I was a little skeptical about maybe there'd be a drop-off because of the first year under Dan Quinn. But the fact that they're playing better than they did last year because of just the depth and guys, really, to me, when I see this team, there's a lot of similarities when we played back in the day. We had like 5 or 6 guys rotating and other guys making plays. So to me, there's a lot of similarities when it comes to that, just the big play ability.
And it's interesting because I thought coming into this year that while maybe the numbers wouldn't be as gaudy from a turnover and from a takeaway standpoint, I felt like this defense could be better because of the understanding they would have under Dan Quinn's scheme. And I think you're starting to see that not just from some of the players that are flourishing, but some of the surprise players that are flourishing. Right. And the one guy that comes to mind for me is Donovan Wilson.
Yeah.
Donovan Wilson over the last 3 weeks has been a heat-seeking missile. Anything that's in front of him, he is knocking down. And he's a guy that you can tell is developing within Dan Quinn's defense. Nate, when you look at the way that the confidence of this team is playing with right now, what does that speak to from a coaching standpoint, whether it's Mike McCarthy, Dan Quinn, Kellen Moore, Joe Philbin, John Fossil? Where do you see the confidence of this team coming from when it comes from a leadership standpoint?
Just when we was in training camp, all the guys talked about, from the youngest to the oldest, I'm talking about defensively, they talked about being in this for a second year and starting to understand how to cover each other back. Tony, a lot of times you shoot a gap and you ain't got a guy covering your back, but now a guy decided to shoot a back or see something, you got somebody covering him. So they understand the defense. Tristan Hill showing up. Donovan Wilson has always been a heat-seeking missile, but now it's got a direction to it.
Yes.
Each week he has gotten better because one reason, he's not missing the tackles he missed in the first week or the second week. He made tackles, and now they put him back in coverage. And he has a couple of nice coverage knockdowns. So this kid understanding, yes, I know my role but how can I get better and flourish in my role?
Look,
and that's what he's doing.
I think that, and this isn't to take away from how they've played, because they've made plays. What you're talking about with the tackling, all of that is absolutely true. But within the context of the competition they have played as well, there's been one thing, that a similarity between all four teams, and that has been offensive line that's either not very good or not playing very good. They're going to have that again this weekend with the LA Rams, and I think they have made the most out of their opportunity right now against susceptible teams when it comes to pass blocking. And I think that that is a part of it. I think we all look at the defense like they are a good unit, and that they're going to be a good unit. But when we look at the 3-1 record right now, I think a lot of it is because of the issues that some other teams have also had with their offensive line, and the Cowboys have flat out exploited it.
Absolutely, and I think that's a sign of a good team, because I think anytime you do a game plan, you're like, okay, we got matchups here we can win. Sometimes, Nate, that doesn't go accordingly.
That's right.
You may think that, you hear people say, well, the guy's lined up against a rookie, he's going to explode. Well, sometimes it doesn't go your way, and so I think whenever they're able to put things in and kind of acknowledge that and see that, there's a lot to be said for that. I mean, for me, when you look at the offensive line, the Cowboys have done really good at finding deep offensive linemen. And you talk
better than their opposition.
Absolutely.
Because they were in the same position, really, with their offensive line.
But the point is like when you can go in and exploit like they've had some of these matchups and get it done and have the confidence in it, man, it just carries on, because, again, sometimes the things don't go accordingly to what you're game planning.
The thing that's amazing is I always, for 4 weeks, the preseason's over. Whether you're hurt, whether you're healthy, you know your players, because it's all been live bullets. So now, starting this week, teams should, whether they hurt or whether you got a young player, you know who these guys are. Your coaches, individual coaches, hey, I know who Nate is now. I know who Will is. I know who Tony is. I know who Kevin is. This is what he can and cannot do. And until he shows us something different, this is how we're going to work our schemes. Now, coming in with these Rams, they know they need to run the ball.
Yeah.
Because every team is going to say, we ain't giving up. This kid got 16 sacks on them, Stanford. They ain't giving up that. Not the way we tackle and the way we can put a guy out of the game. So they're not going to give it that. These Akers and the other kid, Henderson, they're going to run this rock.
Right.
Even when it hits them against the wall.
They have to.
They're going to try to run it.
The only improvement we have to do and continue to do is you cannot run up in our middle anymore. Where people get us now is on the edges.
Yeah.
Yep.
Saw that last week.
We'll see. Time will tell, Will.
It's the worst pass blocking team, depending on the metrics you look at. I think PFF has them as the worst ranked pass blocking team. The Rams are, evidenced by the sacks on Stafford. So they're going to have to, even if it's not working, I think that they may still try to do it.
They're going to have to hit their head against the wall a couple of times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We used to do that with Philly, especially in our young years with Jimmy. We wound up running about 30 times for maybe 80, 90 yards. But it saved our defense.
And that's a good point, because you got to be able to keep them off the field. You can't get ahead of yourself. Okay, we're going to abandon the run. We're just going to go to the pass. You got to think of the big picture in the fourth quarter. And so those guys did a tremendous job, because if they're running at 30 or 40 times, in that fourth quarter, as a defensive lineman, that dude's getting heavy.
Yeah,
I'm getting tired. So that's where you got to understand that maybe that's not going to happen the first, second, third quarter. Maybe we'll only get 3 yards per carry, but in the fourth quarter, we're going to extend that baby to 5, 6 yards per carry and maybe get a home run.
And without stressing your offensive line, Nate, as you can attest to, by run blocking as opposed to pass blocking more.
Because that's the role that we was going down with Tampa. So, hey, I mean.
We are live at the Cowboys Club on this Cowboys Crosstalk right here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Will Chambers, Nate Newton, Tony Casillas. Gentlemen, I want you to ponder on this question when we come back from break. We've got two of the premier defensive players in the NFL right now, Aaron Donald and Micah Parsons. Which one has the bigger game on Sunday afternoon? We'll talk about it next, live on Cowboys Crosstalk right here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
back to SWBC Mortgage's Cowboys Crosstalk.
Check this out.
Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
Live at the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. It is Cowboys Crosstalk presented by SWBC. Kevin Gray, Will Chambers, Nate Newton, our Cowboys legend. Tony Casillas in the building on this
Liking this energy,
Wednesday
baby.
night.
baby.
SWBC Mortgage joined the more than 120,000 customers that we've helped to find their happier home. Visit SWBCmortgage.com to find a pro today. Gentlemen, it is week 5 of the National Football League. Cowboys 3-1 taking on a Los Angeles Rams team that got to beat them down on Monday Night Football from the San Francisco 49ers. I wanted you guys to ponder on this question because we have 2 of the premier defensive players in this league today. Aaron Donald coming off his first Super Bowl championship, and of course last year, Micah Parsons, the unanimous defensive rookie of the year, looking to win defensive player of the year this year. Tony, I'll start with you on the defensive side
Or
of the football.
MVP.
Or maybe MVP the way that he's been playing so far. Tony, I'll start with you. When you look at Micah Parsons, Aaron Donald, first of all, describe their games the best way that you can, and tell me, who do you think has the bigger game on Sunday afternoon?
Aaron Donald, to me, is he's so dynamic. His quick bursts, his ability to use his hands and get in space. And, God, I think he's ready to go, isn't he?
Nate wants to piece
Nate,
Aaron Donald on
I
Sunday.
said, we can just do it right here, sitting down. We don't have to get up, right?
Right, exactly.
Surprised it's not giving you nightmares on figuring out how you would block that guy.
This be my boy right here. We took care of each other when we needed each other.
Wow.
But then he abused me when he needed to.
No,
That's
no.
take care of you when practice time came
Hell
around.
with
Huh?
that. Yeah. He's brother-in-law. That was my best brother-in-law right there.
Yeah, we brother-in-law to the other day. Jimmy knew we was doing it.
Yeah, we had to.
After we became good.
Right, you had to
Before
work
that, it was
the
bloody
relationship out
days.
first.
It was
Yeah.
bloody days.
I understand
before
that.
Not figuratively, not related, but
of course.
It could be, but
Yeah.
But Aaron Donald, he just makes things look so effortless, and I just know as a defensive lineman and just other guys and seeing guys play, you just marvel at what he can do, because he's so strong. He's so fast. You watch him work out. He's a warrior in the weight room. His quickness drills. I never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
For a guy that big in space. I mean, we're talking about, 3 foot of space?
Yes, sir.
Total
And being
phone
able-
booth.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, let's go over there. I mean, you can't do iPhone, but people at home.
Right.
If you remember that.
Yeah, I remember. So it's just a small, like an elevator. And to be able to do that and to be able to react and get off, blocks and be able to make plays and just make it, it's almost like when he wants to turn that switch on, he can command it.
Yes.
And I think I've never seen a guy at the defensive tackle inside the nasty where you have to do all the
Banging,
heavy
double
lifting
team.
and
Yeah.
stuff.
And still be able to get after the quarterback and sack the quarterback the way that he does.
I mean, that's just
It's kind of frightening.
ridiculous.
It's kind of frightening.
It really is. It's
And
different
Mike-
when you're on the edge and you got space.
Exactly. Talk to me about Micah Parsons. Well, how would you describe his game?
Oh, my gosh. I think a lot. We were talking about this in the break. The comparison is LT. And LT, I think he's got some room to go. But his ability, his passion, his quickness. I mean, the guy runs a 4.4 and runs people down. And he always wants to be on the play. I mean, he never takes any plays off. Have you ever seen that guy take a play off?
Never.
No.
And I've never seen that before, but he's just so quick. His instincts are just amazing. I mean, it's hard to imagine that this is his only second year in the league. But it's so instinctual. He understands the game. He has a passion. And really, he cares about people around him.
Yes.
And that's an intangible thing to be able to, a characteristic to have.
Because that's not necessarily
No.
what LT had, right? I mean, he
Well,
was just
he was a little
animal.
different, man.
Yeah,
LT was a little different.
Yeah.
In different ways, but man, that
Yeah.
dude, LT, oh my gosh.
But one thing they got in common is they both had great coaches.
Yeah.
He had Belichick as his defensive coordinator.
Great
early,
point.
And he got Dan Quinn. But it is a total difference. I want to say this. Y'all can tell I'm an old man now because
I'm right there with you.
I should not have put on white socks.
Don't you work? See, you said the
They're not
quiet
even-
part. Hold on now. You
Wait
said
a
the
second.
quiet
I
part
thought-
out loud. You
I
didn't
didn't
even have
even
to say
think about
that.
the
You
White
didn't have to
Sox.
acknowledge
I
that.
just said
You
I-
could have just
I
had
look
your
like, wow,
look,
man, I
you
look
just
like
had
my
your
granddaddy.
you look, just had your shoes behind the table. You'd have been all
like
right.
Hey, at least they're not those, and I love New Balance, but at least they're not the big white ones with the big thick
Look,
soles on
You
them.
didn't even have to say the quiet
didn't
part.
go
And just
around.
above the ankle, too.
The
Couldn't
dad
get
shoes.
the footy.
You all
This is
right.
how
I
the
love
dad
you,
shoes
Grandpa.
on.
I love you, Daddy.
Look, that's all right. You look, just put
Yeah.
it behind the table. fumble, then you'd be all good. So how would Nate Newton and his teammates go about trying to stop Aaron Donald, trying to contain Aaron Donald on a Sunday
I'm going to tell
afternoon?
you something. We got a kid that produces one of our shows, special edition that I do, and it comes on Saturdays and Sundays. He talking about Nate Newton Law. I do things, against the defense. I show people how we would scheme up. You cannot scheme him. And see, I can scheme Michael Parsons. I couldn't last year, but I can scheme Mike now because he coming to one of them defensive ends. I can scheme him, but you can't scheme what's in the middle. You're going to have a back run up in there? How? It ain't enough space.
Right.
What you're going to do, only thing I do a lot of times is give him fake reads. Throw a head inside, quick set outside. Other than that, he controlling you. Tony said it. This is what's amazing. Everybody says he's big. He's 6'1", 275, 280 on a good day.
All
but
muscle.
what he does is those workouts. Go see the workouts.
It's insane.
He runs with the wide receivers. He runs with the DBs.
He works out with the Rock.
He is
Right, there's also that. He works out with the Rock.
He is a born leverage. You talking about dudes that are 6'5", 6'4". He's 6'1", with deceptively long arms. They told us he didn't have long arms, but his hands is always inside. That's his key. That when he gets his hands inside, it's either going to be a bull rush with unbelievable power and strength, or it's going to be a bull rush with a snatch. And all he want to do is freeze your feet.
And
If
his
he can
athleticism, too, Nate, is just amazing what he can do.
Yes.
And the only way that you can really game plan is double or triple team him.
Yeah. And
that's all you can do.
Hello, Conor McGovern. Hello, Tyler Biotis on Sunday.
Hey,
absolutely.
Let me ask you guys this, because you brought
Slow
it up,
him
Nate.
down.
How are you guys surprised that we haven't seen Micah Parsons outside? We've seen him on the edge, but haven't seen him on the inside, and that was one of the things.
He's been on the inside a few times, but not enough like he was last year.
Right.
My thing is that he's starting to get beat up because they know where he's at.
Right.
And I've always told people, put him at that linebacker position and walk him. Put him at that linebacker position and let him
float
stay.
around a little bit.
Yes. I mean, Tony, you said it, man.
That makes sense
He
in
run
protecting
down
him a
dudes
little bit.
Just put him somewhere to be more of a decoy,
Yeah.
because when they're sitting there and they see him down around the line of scrimmage in the A or B gap, they're thinking, oh, my, he's lined up, and what are we going to do?
Yeah.
So they got to either slide or, double down on him or make an adjustment.
Yes.
And he can, like you say, walk him out, walk him in and walk him out, and have him, stand to the other side.
Confusion along the offensive
absolutely.
line for sure. For this Cowboys team, along with 15 sacks through 4 games, Dallas leads the league with 70 pressures per Pro Football Focus. And you saw how the San Francisco 49ers got after Matthew Stafford. He did his patented pick six thing, which he normally does on a week-to-week basis. How does Dan Quinn go about attacking a vulnerable offensive line with the playmakers of Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Donovan Wilson? Neville Gallimore had a sack on Sunday up the middle as well.
Boomer.
There you go. So we'll start there. How does Dan Quinn go about attacking this vulnerable offensive line?
First of all, I'd love to play for Dan Quinn. That dude, to me, he exudes passion, and I want to go play for him.
You ever talk to him, Tony?
I haven't.
You talk to him, man.
Yeah,
Come over and talk to him.
He's very impressive.
I can tell, and you can tell the connection he has with his players and how they respond. I wouldn't change anything. I just continue the game. I mean, you already have a vulnerable offensive line, right?
Sure.
So just continue it's kind of like the Giants. The Giants were kind of mirrored what Dallas was trying to do. They were going to try to Daniel Jones, put him in a passing situation. I mean, they have enough guys to stop the run, load the box up, make them run the football. And then when they start to pass, and Cooper Kupp, that's another story. I mean, that's going to be a test for
Stafford's
him.
always looking for Cooper Kupp.
Absolutely. I mean, they target him 50 times.
It was like 19 times in this Monday night
game.
He
got 42 receptions.
But just keep it simple, right, Nate?
Yeah.
You don't change anything. Just continue to do what your game plan and
listen. You asked what coach should do, Coach Quinn.
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
I would go knock on Kellen Moore's door and say, all I need for you to do is score first. And they will abandon the run.
Absolutely.
Okay, that is I totally agree with you.
Yes.
And there's a part of me that wonders Is this the week where they really change it up, or do they need a bye week? You know what's amazing to me is I was taking a look at this yesterday where you were just talking about the targets for Cooper Kupp. Between he and Tyler Higbee, it's almost 100 targets. Allen Robinson has 18.
It's crazy.
And the times where they had gone to him on Monday night, I thought, man, that's a really tough situation and throwing it to the back of the end zone. Now, I understand you want, somebody to make a play, but if you're bringing in a guy with the talent of Allen Robinson, why aren't you trying to use him more considering what type of coverages are going to be around Cooper Kupp? And we just haven't seen that yet. And so I thought when you were doing the knock on wood, it's like, let it not be this week where they figure out like some different scheme that they're going to do because
and finally utilize Allen Robinson,
The thing is, see, y'all go by targets. Targets ain't no good. He's got 9 catches.
Yeah.
He's got 9 catches. Your boy got the big dog,
Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. He got 42 catches. The other kid got 26 catches. The yak yardage, this kid got 178. This is Cooper Kupp. The other kid got 172. They catching this ball and they all everything. Robinson, this is what we don't account for. When you see film, if Tony is a up the field guy, which he was in Atlanta, which he was at Oklahoma, for you to get him and 2-gap him, that's not right.
Right.
You paying him, we're going to give him $10 million a year to 2-gap? When he's an up the field guy, he's a penetrator.
Yeah.
Allen Robinson, they have not figured out how to use him, and they got to hurry up and do that.
Let's just hope it's not this week.
Yeah.
Right.
But you know what? I'm going to tell you something. It won't matter if they pass. But if they play action pass or run that ball with any type, because they got Cam Akers in the syndicate, they nice. What is your offensive line going to hold up?
Well, I think it's the same thing with the Cowboys, too.
Yeah, but Cooper Kupp, if he's catching 10, 12 balls a game, I'm going to keep throwing the ball. I know you want to try to bring other guys, Alvin
but
Robinson.
It's not working for them.
I understand that. It's not because they can't block and they can't get in the end zone.
Right.
But, for right now, that's the way that they can move the football.
Right. Until
there's another opportunity. And like I said, we're talking about their offensive line. They're very vulnerable. That's the area that you take advantage of.
And they've got 3 guys this week on the offensive line that are already on the injury report.
Right.
So it's tough. Sean McVay is obviously a very smart offensive schematic guy. I'm just wondering because as I'm watching these games, I'm like, is Stafford even looking that way? But no, these are really plays that are designed for him to make 1 or 2 reads. And those first 2 seem to be Kupp and Higbee. If that changes, then that's going to force your defense to have to look more broadly as to how, you're scheming and guarding. But, Tony, to your point, you can't do that if you don't have the time.
Right. And I think that's the thing that gets lost in translation. People are like, okay, well, once you do this and that, well, you can only do like 1 or 2 reads because you don't have time.
That's right.
And if that's going to work, then that's what you're going to continue to do until things change. And the Cowboys continue to deny what they can't do.
I'm a Stafford guy, but he led the league in interceptions last year.
He sure did.
He'll throw it to you.
Even when he was no pressure. This kid, I'm telling you.
He doesn't like incompletions, Nate.
Yeah.
Does not want that ball hitting the turf.
We are live at the Cowboys Club. It is Cowboys Crosstalk on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. We were talking about the offensive weapons that the Los Angeles Rams have. Let's talk about the Cowboys' weapons and what they've done through the first 4 weeks of this season. Yes, Cooper Rush, we trust as a backup. Who does he have to get involved on Sunday against Sascott, Jalen Ramsey, and the Los Angeles Rams? We'll talk about it next on Cowboys Crosstalk on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
SWBC Mortgage's Cowboys Crosstalk.
Check this out.
Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. Brought to you by A Number One Air, the official HVAC and electric partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com. Trusted by millions, trusted by America's team. The National Medal of Honor Museum. Join the mission at mohmuseum.org. And by SWBC Mortgage. Customized solutions to help you meet your personal and business goals. Visit SWBC.com. Now, your hosts, Nate Newton and Kevin Gray.
Live at the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. It is Cowboys Crosstalk presented by SWBC. We are live on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Kevin Gray, Will Chambers of 105 through the Fan, three-time Super Bowl champion Nate Newton, and former Dallas Cowboy and legend Tony Casillas in the building tonight on this Wednesday. And I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to spend and hang out with us tonight. SWBC PEO, helping to alleviate the HR administrative burden that comes with running a business. Leave the worrying to us. Visit swbcpeo.com to find out more. Gentlemen, Rams, Cowboys. We talked about the defensive side of the things for the Cowboys heading into Sunday afternoon. The game can be seen on Fox, the A-team of Fox. That would be Greg Olson, Kevin Burkhardt, Aaron Andrews will be on the call. Of course, you can hear on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network, 105 through the Fan with the voice of America's team, Brad Sham, Babe Laufenberg, and Christy Scales. Let's talk about the offensive side of the football for the Dallas Cowboys and the emergence of one C.D. Lamb. Cedarian Lamb has caught 11 passes of 15-plus yards in 2022, tied with Tyreek Hill and A.J. Brown for the most in the NFL. Tony, I'll start with you. What have you seen from your former Oklahoma brethren in C.D. Lamb and what he's done the last few games to give us a lot more confidence in his ability to be that true number one wide receiver in this league?
You know, I knew that CD was a good route runner, but I think that's coming to the forefront what he does now. And I think that really it creates confidence with your quarterback and just knowing where he's going to be and just being able to find some space and how strong he is, yards after catch. And I don't think that, you know, he had a drop ball for a touchdown. It would be a touchdown in the New York game. Mm-hmm. But he didn't let that bother. He made one of the remarkable catches, a fade route in the end zone. So I think he's really, you know, he's the number one receiver. So with the number one receiver, there's expectations. With expectations, there's big playability. And I think that's what he's able to do. And I think his ability to, Nate, yards after catch and get and catch like a comeback route and then take it 20 yards, to me, that's CD. You know, those stats you just read, I mean, that's kind of sneaky. I mean, it doesn't seem like he's got that many yardage, but he does because his yards per catch is amazing.
Nate, talk to me about what you see for CD.
See, I try to tell all my compadres and the many shows that I'm a part of and that I do is everybody, you don't come off the rack, you know, and just be that guy. Michael Irvin had to learn to be that guy, you know. So CD Lamb is learning how to be that guy. He still ain't fulfilled all he's going to be. You know, he's beginning to understand the pressure, how to you know, make those routes. He was a nice guy for the slot. Now he's outside, learning those routes and how to beat these double coverages. And he would get better, and the competition would get better, and he would get better. Some people just don't fall into it. I mean, and that's just how it is. Some guys have to develop into it, and he's well on his way to doing that.
I think it's rhythm. I was really thinking along the same lines as Nate here, is that, you know, you come into the league and there is, you know, a lot of places he would have gone to, he would have been thrust into being number one right away.
Right.
He didn't have to do that. You know, he was number two here essentially to Amari Cooper, and I think there's some pressure that comes along with that when you've already shown a little bit of your talent. Now, boom, these expectations. And to be honest, he cares a lot. You know, I mean, he really has been working with Dak, and he wants to be that guy so bad that initially in the first couple weeks there may be some of those moments where there's a drop ball here and there. Once this kid catches some rhythm, I think that it's going to be big time. You know, it's not the breakaway speed that we see some other, you know, wide receivers in the game, but the technician that he can be, and a lot of it learning from Amari Cooper and then what he did at Oklahoma, like what Tony was saying. I think once he gets more comfortable within the role, because we're only talking 4 games, that it could be a very different CeeDee Lamb down the stretch than we saw the first quarter mile.
Nate, give me the matchup that you're looking most forward to seeing on Sunday. We've started to touch on it with CeeDee Lamb, the Sascot, Jalen Ramsey travel with him during Sunday. What's the matchup that you're looking most forward to between the Rams and the Cowboys?
It's been three I call it the death row. You faced the Washington football team and those Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne. Now you got Gaynor and this beast that we've been talking about and Aaron Donald. Then next week you got Philadelphia. So
Jordan
they're
Davis,
on death row right now. So our interior offensive line has to be fixed. And what I mean by that, Tony, they have to understand who is your left guard. So this offense can roll and know how to roll.
Who does Nate Newton want to see at left guard?
I want to see number 66 there. I
McGovern,
want to see Connor McGovern.
Okay.
Because if I was Aaron Donald and I was getting ready to play Peters, I'm gonna make you move your feet, big boy. I'm gonna make you move your feet, and I don't think his feet is caught up with it yet. From what I saw last week.
Aaron Donald, he creates problems for anyone.
Yes.
Zach Martin, with
Tyler
anyone,
Yeah.
all future Hall of Famer. I mean, that's who he is. I mean, he's that type of player, and I think that going to a game like this, you can only game plan for Aaron Donald for so much, and then after a while, he gets single block. You just got to try, hopefully, do your job.
Like Jimmy used to.
Unless Reggie White's lined up over you, right?
Oh, man.
He's just throwing everybody around anytime
like
he wants
humping,
to.
Yeah, I laugh because Tony's telling the truth. It's like Jerome Brown. Jimmy used to come to me in person and say, "Hey, man, we're going to try to send a fullback through there every now and then. We're going to try to win.
Jackson already in his voice. I look Nate.
Yeah, we're going to try to win.
It's like, where in the hell's the fullback?
But I'm serious. But then he'll say, but Nate, 75% of this time, you have to deal. We can turn the protection, but you have to deal with him.
Yeah.
And so all week long, I just tell my wife at the time, like, babe, I don't want to talk about it. Don't ask me about the game.
Look, I know Reggie and Jerome over there. I ain't trying. Look, I already know.
Yeah.
I already know. So what advice are you giving Connor McGovern, Tyler Biadasz? What are you giving those? Because we know what Zach Martin is. He's a Hall of Famer on his way to Canton as a right guard. But what are you telling Connor McGovern and Tyler Biadasz about what they've got to deal with in terms of Aaron Donald on Sunday?
There's
that entire interior, I should say,
there's
for the Rams
no
as well.
such thing as a perfect game, and I think Tony Wise, like, Nate, perfect set, perfect aiming of the head, perfect placement of the hands, and after that, fight. Do not give up on. I used to be so tired after playing Jerome Brown or what's the kid from Minnesota? John
Randall.
I used to be so tired. Be like, why are you going home there? You ain't gonna party with us, Nate? No, I'm going
like
home.
I'm beat.
Because you will have no play off. Because you don't know when this stud is gonna crank up.
Right.
So you every play you're perfect. You're setting perfect. You're trying to punch. You do not know when this guy's gonna turn it on.
Yeah.
Because you cannot stop him if he decides to go 5 or 6 plays in a row wide open. You're going to lose 3 of them. Unless we got the perfect play call, and Norv used to save us with that lead draw.
John Randall was the best smack talker, wasn't he? I mean,
yes,
that dude,
he was.
He's a Hall of Famer. But you know what? Those guys that we're referring to, Biadasz and McGovern, you just got to play. Just trust what you're doing.
Yes.
Okay.
Your technique and what you've been doing. Don't get caught up in who you're playing against. Nate referred to, he's not going to beat you. Well, I don't want to put that out there, but
He's not going to beat you every time.
But my point is that there's a reason why you're in the National Football League.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, Aaron Donald's special, but you're kind of special too because you're in the league.
I like
Right.
that.
You're
So
starting.
just trust what you're doing. Don't overthink it. Don't get intimidated. I mean, the guy, he does that to everyone. Just play your game and trust what you're doing. That's all you can do.
Will, before we go to break quickly here, give me an X factor on Sunday offensively you're looking for.
Tony Pollard, and this is a classic radio host talking head, like, let's think about somebody outside. But honestly, this is a wounded, dangerous animal in the LA Rams right now. They're a very good team, and they are at the brink and losing back-to-back games. They're at home. this is going to be a really tough game, despite, I think, the matchup really favoring the Cowboys with the offensive line of the Rams.
It is Cowboys Crosstalk live at the Cowboys Club here at the Star in Frisco on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Coming up next, we're going to get the predictions from these gentlemen, and we're going to catch up with Tony Casillas, see what he's doing these days out here in the DFW area. It's Cowboys Crosstalk live on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Back to SWBC Mortgage's Cowboys Crosstalk.
Check this out.
Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
Final segment here on Cowboys Crosstalk live on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network, presented by SWBC. Kevin Gray, 105 through the fans, Will Chambers, three-time Super Bowl champion Nate Newton, and our Cowboys legend Tony Casillas joining us right here on this Wednesday night. Let's thank one of our proud partners. Liberty Tax is a proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Schedule an appointment today at libertytax.com/Cowboys. It is prediction time, gentlemen, as Tony gets in his pictures. And
I was taking
I
like that look, the white socks.
See, you setting them out with shoes again, man. We covered that earlier, man.
Well, he brought it to our attention. I thought I just tweeted out like comfort.
But nah,
white socks, man. It's in style.
Is that what that is, the Michael Jackson look? All right, well, here we go.
No, we're some
like I'm on Miami Beach.
You tucked that to somewhere
little Miami
else.
Vice, Nate.
Yeah.
Was that
No,
where
that's Miami Vice. This is Miami Beach old man style.
Just don't wear those with
All
sandals.
these put on my sandals.
Yeah, don't do that. Just don't do that. Don't do that. Before we get into prediction time, Tony, tell us about what's going on with you. In fact, we just had you on our show with myself and Chris Arnold not too long ago. You was out in Fayetteville, I believe, with your daughter, and she's the senior out there this way. These days.
It's amazing how old you get and you have kids. It speeds it up, the whole process. So I went to back-to-back parents weekend, one at Arkansas and one at Oklahoma. And I tell you what, that will test your youth,
your endurance,
or lack of youth. And we tried to stay up with them, but that's great. And I got an older son that went to UT. He's doing great. Lives in Austin, the electrical engineer. Trying to persuade and trying to put a little pressure on them to make me a grandpa. I don't know. I don't know if I want to be a pawpaw. But anyway, that's enough of that. I try to stay active. I have a podcast. I try to do as much as I can on social media. You can follow me at Tony Casillas and Twitter, TC Casillas. I try to stay up and kind of I would say in the know as far as
you stay involved in the game.
Yeah, I try to, and then I've been doing stuff on and off for the last 6-7 years in the media, and then I was in the process of writing a book, an autobiography.
Congratulations!
Yeah, and that's kind of put on the shelf a little bit, but the name of it's Brown in Oklahoma. So kind of like growing up as a minority in Oklahoma, Hispanic. Some of the trials and tribulations that you face and overcome, and the story, some of the, the experiences on the way. But yeah, that's been keeping me pretty busy. I think what we did in the 90s, I'm glad that Jerry keeps that thread together, so to speak, still. But for us guys to be able to get back and reminisce about what we used to do and, the history that we made, I mean, that's a special group, man. And I think that's, when you talk to the fans and you talk to the Cowboy Nation, you know how special that is. So you just really want this generation of Cowboys to have that experience, the fans to have that experience. I mean, this is an amazing place, but I mean, it's a great area to still live in, and I couldn't think of a better place to live in Dallas. But I've been staying busy, trying to keep the weight off. I know that's kind of a tough, when I say that in a light way, trying to, because I know as a player, once you played, Nate, how many years you play in the league?
Oh, man, about 14.
So 14, I played 12. So as you get older, you try to kind of fight Father Time. I mean, it's going to catch up with you. It catches up with you. But just try to stay active and kind of be an advocate to keep yourself healthy and wellness and all that. But, I mean, that's a lot. It's a mouthful.
Well,
I do a lot of different.
Well, here's to the completion of your book. Obviously, that's I'm sure an incredible endeavor. So,
well, and let me say this too, because as somebody that's been able to work with Nate for a while and then talk to Tony a number of times, the great part about you guys and your perspective is not only what you're following right now with the Cowboys and with the NFL, but to really get a good understanding as to what greatness is, because I think there's a great mystery around the Cowboys right now and over the last 10 years, and trying to understand why. Why hasn't it happened? We're all trying to figure it out, because there have been a number of teams that you're like, man, that's about as good as they come in professional football, but for whatever reason have not gotten to an NFC championship game. But you guys, having lived it, and gone through it and done it as a Dallas Cowboy, gives us a perspective that it's not easy to find.
Well, I mean, there's two questions as a former player that you get asked all the time. One is, what are you doing now? And two is, well, what's wrong?
What's the problem
with the Cowboys?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I wish I knew that answer. And I think that there's a lot of expectation. They have things in place to kind of for the long haul. And I think, for us, what was so special is that we were built for the longevity. When I say longevity, I mean like 5 or 6. We probably could have won 4 Super Bowls in that one decade, but that's what we were built for.
Sure.
And so that's a special moment. So, that's probably the question that I get asked all the time. And I'm like, I wish I could tell you, I had a crystal ball and give you the answer. But that's one thing about Nate, man, I love this guy. I mean, it's when we see each other, we're older, but it's like going back and we pick up where we left off because we got so many great memories that they're intimate memories that just we have. But to be able to take people on that ride, the fans, and experience that, man, that's what we want, man. We want fans to be able to experience what we experienced back in the day.
That's so true about Nate, because the fact, like I said right when we saw each other here today, Nate and I working together, that moment that he had with Michael Irvin during the preseason game, I'm like, I've been on the other side of that too. I know exactly what Nate's like. Will. What first off, I know exactly what was going on. I was immediately laughing.
Yeah.
Got about a minute and a half. Gentlemen, give me predictions on Sunday. Start with Will. What are you looking for on Sunday score-wise?
2017 Rams, and the only reason being is that this is the defending world champion. They've lost the game last week, and they're at home. It's just too dangerous. I think both teams will play well, but I think it'll be the Rams.
I know you're picking the Cowboys, so I don't even have to worry about you. You're picking who are you picking on Sunday?
I'm going to have to piggyback off Will. I think that the Rams, I'm going to say 24.
Come on, Tony.
It's going to be a tight game, 24-21, but a lot's going to be based off how they expose their offensive line and obviously the playmakers on defense. It's going to be a great test for the Cowboys.
The Cowboys defense is going to give them a chance on Sunday, but I think the Rams are just a little bit better this week around. And I'm ready for Rain Dakota Prescott to come back.
We ain't going to give y'all nothing to eat tonight. None of y'all.
That's all right. That's all right.
This is the NFL. This is just being like, hey.
Look, we're trying to be objective here. We're just trying to do our job here.
I'm being objective. Y'all can eat.
Tony Casillas, thank you so much for your time.
This is my pleasure, man. I love it.
We appreciate you joining us here.
Thank you.
On Cowboys Crosstalk. Nate, as always, good to see you once again. Looking forward to doing it next week. Will Chambers, as always, good to see you, my friend. We'll be doing this.
I'll see you this weekend.
I'm sure I'll see you this weekend for sure. It has been the Cowboys Crosstalk live at the Cowboys Club here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Again, thanks to our guest, Tony Casillas, for joining us this evening. My name is Kevin Gray of 105.3 The Fan. Be sure to watch the Cowboys on Sunday on Fox and, of course, live on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network, 105.3 The Fan. Brad Sham, Babe Loffenberg, Christy Scales, they'll have you all covered for the game day on Sunday. Y'all have a good night. This is Cowboys Crosstalk live on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.